What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. So the big day is finally here for Jeff Keighley and crew, with Summer Game Fest going live later this afternoon, and naturally, hype is building online, with certain things even being teased for what games could be shown there, and we'll go over some of that here today. Also, we are going to be talking about what could be Nintendo's big holiday title, as it appears there's some movement behind the scenes for Retro Studios, and we'll also be talking about some downloadable content that has been announced for one of my favorite games of 2022, bringing with it a whole other wave of nostalgia. So if you guys enjoy this video, make sure to hit that like button, helps out a ton, and if new here to the Spawn Wave channel, make sure you subscribe down below. And we're going to start today with Hideo Kojima and something he's always wanted, a film about himself. Well, it's a documentary really following him around seemingly and showing the creative process, and specifically pointing to things like Death Stranding with some of the different actors who played, of course, characters in that game. But you can see some of the trailer that was released here, and it is called Hideo Kojima Connecting Worlds. It's the official trailer for the PlayStation Studios Presents, and it is in association with Kojima Productions, a Filmworks production. So a lot going on here to make this one happen. I mean, it'll be interesting, I guess, just to see how Kojima does some of this stuff and directs and produces and creates, because certainly an interesting mind going on over there with some of those ideas. No word on when this documentary is coming out, but it looks like it's going to be a higher production value and all of this. And I almost wonder if there's going to be maybe some teases towards what's coming up as well, considering they'll be showing a lot within Kojima Productions, or maybe chronicling the overall development of something like Death Stranding, or maybe even talks about what happened between him and Konami. A lot of possibilities here. No word on when it's coming out, but we'll keep an eye out for that one. Also, it does look like Octopath Traveler 2 has hit the coveted 1 million mark for units sold, and this was posted up over on their Twitter account. Some nice commemorative artwork here. 1 million. Thank you. They say worldwide shipping and download numbers exceeded 1 million units overall. So exciting stuff there, obviously, for fans of Team Asano and what they've been able to do, kind of bringing the retro feel of some of these older RPGs, more traditional style, whether it's turn-based or strategy, bringing them up to more modern standards, you could say, with kind of the interesting visual style with the HD 2D setup there. And the good thing here is, while, I mean, I know people look at that and say only 1 million. Well, Team Asano and some of their productions and games aren't like Final Fantasy VII Remake level in terms of cost. I think this is a good spot for some of these more traditional style RPGs from Square Enix, because while not everyone's sold on the idea of Final Fantasy XVI being more action focused in terms of the combat, you still get these more traditional games, and it seems like Team Asano just continues to roll along here, and I'm always interested to see what they want to try next, whether it's a remake of an older game that maybe didn't even get localized outside of Japan, or something brand new. So exciting stuff there. Congratulations to Team Asano with their latest release, Octopath Traveler 2, hitting 1 million units. Oh, and for all of you Madden fans out there who pick it up every year, we did get the cover athlete as well as the release date and platforms for it. This was all shown in a trailer that EA put up over on their YouTube channel, as well as Twitter account. And Madden NFL 24 will feature Josh Allen from the Buffalo Bills on the cover. It is releasing worldwide August 18th for the PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X, S, and PC. So they are continuing to make that PC push for the Madden series. I guess the big thing they're pointing out is field sense improvements. So improvements in the field sense gameplay system, increased control and throwing, catching, and tackling. Unfortunately, I just haven't really been into the Madden series in a long time. I think the last one I really got into had Troy Polamalu and Larry Fitzgerald uncovered. I believe that's Madden 2010, if I'm not mistaken. I also played a bit of Madden 13. I think I had Calvin Johnson on the front cover, but I just kind of fell out of it after that, and it really hasn't done much to pull me back in, and doesn't look like I'm necessarily the only person thinking that way, because it gets crushed in reviews and user scores and stuff. But hey, I always say this every time, there's always next year, and looks like that's coming up in August. And guys, with some of the quick news out of the way, let's get into the bigger stuff. Let's start right away with the potential for Nintendo's big holiday game, because right now we have Pikmin 4, and that's kind of it. Like, after July, who knows what Nintendo is doing. At least for June, we have Everybody Want to Switch. You know what? that game might be able to carry Nintendo all the way until mid-2024 when they start talking about their next generation device. So who really needs anything else for this year, right? Got the 1-2 punch, Tears of the Kingdom, everybody 1-2 switch. But what if Nintendo had plans to have a big title ready to go for October or November? At least that's the hope right now, after a page appears to have been noticed by a user on Famaboards. And you can see this page over on Nintendo UK's website. Yeah, it says register your interest. Metroid Prime 4. It says enter your email below to register your interest in Metroid Prime 4 and receive emails about pre-orders and product news for Metroid Prime 4, simply saying it's currently in development for Nintendo Switch. So good to have that confirmation that it's still in development. And it is really weird to think that it has now been 4.5 years since Nintendo announced that they were restarting development on the game and handing it to Retro Studios, which, I mean, means that it's at least had been moved over probably months before that. So it's very possible it's actually been roughly 5 years since they officially restarted development, scrapped the whole thing seemingly, and sent it over to Retro Studios to try to fix it, really, or I guess build a whole new game. So it obviously, people are going to start thinking that we're getting closer to when it's going to release. I had a feeling that Metroid Prime Remastered was kind of being held on to, at least to a point where they were believing they could have something ready for Metroid Prime 4 within that calendar year of it releasing, and technically that would put us towards the end of 2023. Doesn't necessarily mean that Metroid Prime 4 is coming out this year, but they could certainly re-reveal it, as the only thing we have to go on right now was the Metroid Prime 4 logo, PNG, animation from E3 2017, so yeah, it's been a little while for Metroid Prime fans. Now, I do think, believe it or not, it's possible this game could come out this year, although we're in June right now, and that wouldn't necessarily leave a good runway for marketing, and Nintendo has clearly spent a lot of money, more money than they were expecting on Metroid Prime 4, and I don't think they're expecting sales like they're seeing out of some of their higher tier IPs like Splatoon or like Mario or Zelda, nothing like that. So at this point, they may want to spend a bit more time marketing, even through social media, with a build up longer than like 3 or 4 months, because let's say they go the rest of this summer without any major directs or reveals, and they really do wait until September to have their big general direct. That would leave them like 2 months to announce and then launch the game. But I do also think it's possible that Metroid Prime 4 ends up in first half of 2024, or maybe it's placed alongside of Nintendo's next system as a cross-generation game. See, Retro Studios has been very good at taking advantage of hardware that isn't as powerful as the competitors around it in that same space. You look back to the GameCube, not as powerful as the original Xbox. Metroid Prime 4 definitely had people wondering if there was some magic going on with the system, because that game was completely comparable to other titles on the Xbox that were graphical showcases. You also look at the Wii and what they were able to accomplish with Metroid Prime 3, or you move up to the Wii U and Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, while it was a 2D game, also looked very, very good and ran really well. So that's something I wouldn't mind seeing, is sure, show off what the current system can do, but also take full advantage of the next platform. Let's say it really will have DLSS upscaling to 4K and extra bells and whistles that NVIDIA is able to build in to a custom chip. I think Metroid Prime 4 with Retro Studios behind it could be the best way to show off that hardware. But yeah, I think we're roughly, at the latest, a year away from Metroid Prime 4 coming out. I just wouldn't be shocked if it hits this holiday, but I also wouldn't count on it. Probably look towards the first half of 2024 for Samus Aran to go on her next adventure. Next up, let's talk about Summer Game Fest and a lot of hype and teasing that's been building online around games that people are thinking could be there, and one in particular is a little surprising. First, though, let's get an update around the Persona situation, as we can see from Gamatsu, who is citing Persona Central, but saying both P3RE and P5T are now returning 404s, which likely means they're being configured. P3RE is likely for Persona 3 Remake, which I think is being rumored to appear at Xbox Showcase, but again, Summer Game Fest is right around the corner, could also be there. P5T maybe for a new Persona 5 spinoff. And in fact, you could have Persona games at both shows. It'd be a week of Persona there, which I don't think most Atlas fans would complain about that one. So I guess keep an eye out for some Persona announcements at some point this week. And then over with Annapurna, they tease their own thing here with a zoomed in shot of the back end of YouTube, basically signaling that, hey, we have a trailer or something that's been uploaded and it's visibly set to private, which most people believe this is either a new game or something with Silent Hill Downfall. Remember, Konami had an entire showcase with all kinds of Silent Hill stuff, and Annapurna was part of that. We also have Jeff Keighley himself tweeting out a picture of, a Crash Bandicoot box that was mailed out to his house, and I can only assume that's for Crash Team Rumble. Remember, that's out in less than 2 weeks on June 20th. Unfortunately, I'm not expecting anything brand new in terms of Crash Bandicoot, nothing like that, or Crash 5 or something there. So yeah, while people are speculating on that one, I think you can play it safe and just assume this is another marketing push for Crash Team Rumble. But one that really has people wondering has to do with Final Fantasy, and not Final Fantasy 16, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. If you remember, we've discussed some of the developer comments that have been going up, and they're up to number 6 as of yesterday. Something tells me number 7 will be posted today, and some are wondering if this could lead up to a potential trailer drop at Summer Game Fest. And I'll admit, that one would feel kind of weird, only because Final Fantasy 16 is right there. You figure you don't want to overshadow it with Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, which is a known entity with Final Fantasy VII, but then also it being a sequel to Final Fantasy VII Remake. 16, I still think needs a bit more of a push, and it could get that with the demo that we're all expecting to release this week, and very well could be announced during the Summer Game Fest. In fact, Square Enix could technically bake their own little showcase into Summer Game Fest, and that might be the direction where they talk about both Final Fantasy 16 and Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and that would be incredible. But I guess we'll see what we have here later on this afternoon. Summer Game Fest will be going live at 3 p.m. Eastern, and we kind of need that E3 replacement, so here's hoping Jeff Keighley can deliver. Next up, let's talk about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge, which was an awesome game last year. I really enjoyed playing it offline or online. It was just a fun experience blasting through a game that reminded me of the old days at the arcades, at the bowling alley, and you just lose all your quarters getting crushed over and over again, but eventually you willed yourself to victory after $10 from your parents. But we did get downloadable content now announced here, and you can see some of the trailer. And this is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge Dimension Shell Shock. Now, there's still some details we need for this DLC, which includes the release date for it, as currently it is coming later this year. But they mentioned new game mode, character colors, and a new playable fighter that some of you may recognize, and I did, and it was really weird because I immediately got a flashback to an episode from the old Ninja Turtles cartoon from the late 80s, early 90s, as they are now bringing in the Ronin Rabbit Usagi Yojimbo. Okay, so This was an interesting one. There were crossovers that took place. I believe Yojimbo was also in their own comic series or something. I specifically remember them from the cartoon, and I just think it's really cool because clearly Shredder's Revenge is playing off of our nostalgia from the 80s and 90s. So what better way to do that than bring in a new playable character like Yojimbo that, sure, the younger audience may not recognize immediately, but maybe they'll go back and learn about this character, or when it comes out, maybe they'll just enjoy playing as them. But really like to see just the update like this for Shredder's Revenge, and it sounds like there's another free update coming as well. So awesome title to pick up if you have not fully recommend it. It's completely playable offline if you have a couple of friends around to go through, but even so, I played through it a couple of times myself, and it was still an awesome time. So, gonna look towards the release date whenever that gets announced, and I'll keep you guys up to date on it. And in our last bit of news, let's talk about something in gaming that we all clearly love, and that's online DRM, specifically games that for some reason have to be always online, even though it makes for a really good single-player experience, with the latest one being Diablo 4. Now, I've been playing Diablo 4, continue to be connected to the internet with no real issues. They had one disconnect, but I didn't really put two and two together for a certain mode in Diablo 4 and how devastating that disconnect could have been. So take a look at this tweet here. This was posted up by Diablo congratulating Karn as they are the first player to reach level 100 on hardcore mode, which there's an entire competition they've put out there that if as people reach level 100, the first 1,000, I believe, will have their name etched into a big Lilith statue, which, sure, that's kind of fun, but it's one issue. As you can see, this posted up by VGC. The first Diablo 4 character to reach hardcore level 100 has died after a disconnect. That's 82 hours for that playthrough. And it just kind of ended after Karn was disconnected, signed back in, only to realize that because of that disconnect, the game appeared to see it as just the character dying. If you play in hardcore mode, when you die, it's permadeath. That's it. You restart at level 1. And in fact, they were working towards the final boss in Diablo 4 for hardcore mode at level 100. So, yeah, that's frustrating to say the least there. And it is kind of weird to me that a disconnect, I guess, just means that your character died, or at least that's the way the server saw it. I guess if anything, they'll at least still have their name etched into the Lilith statue and them technically winning the entire competition, being the first player. But still, the game itself was at fault here, and it shouldn't be always online in the first place. I've been playing it, and I haven't really run into anyone. I haven't felt the need to necessarily play multiplayer at this time. So I feel like I could go through the entire experience of Diablo 4 for the story, getting into endgame, just playing single player. So yeah, having to be online at all times is annoying, and it's one of the reasons I didn't even look towards the PC version where I would play it on the Steam Deck. I just said, whatever, I'll just pick it up digitally on the Xbox and let MVG play around with the PC version over there. So yeah, annoying stuff. Maybe Blizzard can look into this a bit and come up with an offline mode, especially when you see level 100 hardcore players dropping out of the server only to come back and see it back to level 1 after 82 hours. And before we go to the comment of the day, we're gonna take a look at the poll that I posted up yesterday. We're asked, when do you think Metroid Prime 4 is releasing? Oh, look at this, 4% say 2023, 51% say 2024, and then 45% are saying that this thing needs 6+ years, maybe 7 years of development. I wonder what Metroid Prime 4 is going to look like then after all that time. But you know what? This would be the time for Nintendo to have the big swerve and just announce Metroid Prime 4 in July, that it is the holiday title for Nintendo. That would certainly catch some people off guard, at least according to this poll. But I still think 2024 is the safe bet. And you know what? If Nintendo wants to reenact the Switch launch and actually put the new system out, maybe even in April to kick off the fiscal year, Metroid Prime 4 as a launch title, I think, would be a good idea. And we'll finish up with the comment of the day, as you're seeing here. This is from Lucy. It says, every time I hear anything about Capcom making announcements, I get my hopes up that they will finally say something about Pragmata, but nope, not getting my hopes up this time, and maybe they'll surprise me. I had forgotten about Pragmata. I was reminded of, I think by Mystic Ryan reminded me when we were talking about the Sony showcase, and I'm still not really sure what the game is. They showed it off with CGI, and there was like an astronaut and a little girl, and I'm not really sure what to picture with this game for gameplay, that is. So that is something I would like to get more information from Capcom for, if anything, to solve the mystery of whatever Pragmata is. But sure, their showcase coming up here. Seems like it wouldn't be a bad time to at least shed some more light on that game. So, hey, we'll see next week what they have for us. Hopefully it's not necessarily just updates for Street Fighter and Exo Primal. I'd like to see a genuine surprise from Capcom at their showcase. And ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it here for Newswave. If you enjoyed this video, guys, hit that like button. If not, hit the dislike. Leave comments down below about everything we talked about here today. Where's the Summer Game Fest coming up here later this afternoon? Give me some of your predictions, what you'd like to see there. And then Metroid Prime 4. We see some movement here with Nintendo's website, but do you think this game could actually find its way into holiday 2023? Thanks, guys, for watching, and I'll see you next time.